Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome, 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 welcome. Good evening and welcome to TikTok Live Q&A evening, Thursday night as per usual. Let me try and get myself organized here. There we go. Now I can properly greet you. Good evening, Shaham and Persephone and Flygirl and Gabriel, Kasi Kandisa, Dean, Dol, Rennie, Charlene, Impukat, how do I pronounce that? I don't know, and Jen, and then user number. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Thursday Night TikTok Live. Please, if you have any questions, go ahead and post your questions. Let's see if I can help you tonight with a bit of advice, a bit of knowledge, a bit of something more, a bit of, I don't know, whatever. Let's see if I can be of assistance to you tonight. Itza and Cash Madam and Donnie Snyder, good evening everybody. Normally when people are coming in on a Thursday evening and I'm waiting for the first comments or the first questions to come around, I try and entertain people by telling them some other story about some other investment or life cover or walls, whatever. But I must be honest with you, tonight I have absolutely nothing that I think would be of any interest to you guys. So I think I could literally just sit here and wait until somebody asks a question. What has been interesting has been the rebound in markets, and even more interesting is the markets has rebounded, so investments are doing better, and the one thing that has not come down in price is fuel, diesel and petrol. As a matter of fact, it just seems to keep on increasing with this oil situation. Yet, where people were complaining and worried and whatever about all of this, when this whole Iran-USA war situation started, I haven't heard anybody asking or complaining about it too much lately. Not too many people have been talking about it. Although the actual price of fuel has basically increased by 50%. And funny enough, the one thing that has come out of this thing that gives me encouragement about us as a population and about people overall is the fact that they say apparently the sale of fuel at the stations have gone down by 20%. That means that people are driving around less. People are spending less money on fuel, which either means that people are starting to belong to riding clubs, sharing costs, or are not just taking trips for the heck of it, so not wasting money on unnecessary trips to the shops or whatever, or. It shows that there is still the possibility of financial discipline to be exercised by people. So maybe a bit of useless information, but yes, people are not talking too much about the fuel price anymore, people are not complaining about it anymore, but people are buying less fuel, which is an indication that people are managing their normal way of doing things better in order to be more cost effective. Anyways, Witblits sê ek het so R500 'n maand wat ek kan spaar. En wat kan ek daai geld sit? Witblits, so just because of the language thing, I am going to switch to English and I'm going to answer it in English. So you've got R500 a month that you can invest and save, and you're asking where can you invest that money. So the first place I'm going to suggest is that if you do not have a bit of an emergency fund, okay, then I would say if you've got a savings account at the bank, open a second savings account and put the money in there. And I know I'm the first person to keep on telling people not to invest in savings accounts at banks because of the bad interest rates, and when they actually start earning good interest, that they will pay tax on that interest. But at the same time, I was saying that one of the biggest problems for people that have small amounts to invest is that they are normally the people that are more prone to get indebted. And the reason that they get indebted is because they have little and they do not have much means in order to go and invest. And then they get into a bit of financial trouble with small things that goes wrong, and then suddenly they need 3,000, 4,000, 6,000 rand car. For some other reason, you have two flat tires suddenly, and your cost, two tires is going to cost 4,000 rand. And then they need that 4,000 rand and they don't have it, and then they go and they get a short-term loan, a small-term loan, or they go and get a credit card or whatever, and then they start getting into the spiral of debt, where if they had just a little bit of money saved up, they could have used that as an emergency fund. So if you take 500 rand a month and you put it into a savings account, then in 8 months you will have that 4,000 rand. You see where I'm going with this? It takes a little while to build up the emergency fund. So I would say that would be first priority. If you don't have one, then start building up an emergency fund. If you do have a little emergency fund and therefore you've got this 500 rand additional cash available, then you can make use of things such as a unit trust, once again because you want the liquidity of that money, you want that money to be available. So if you have used up your emergency fund, then you can go there. So unit trust will be a good idea. Alternatively, if you have some spare cash and you want to make provision for retirement annuity is going to be a great idea, depending on what your income is and your tax rebates that you can get. And you can even go as far as taking out an endowment. So the endowment is similar to the unit trust, except that it's less liquid and there's a bit of a tax difference between them. But those are basically all the type of investments that you can invest in. So I think the answer that I'm trying to give you is don't worry so much about the product. What you should be concerned about first of all is your personal financial situation now, and what you need the money for, when you need the money, how much availability you need to it, how much liquidity, if you need things like tax benefits. So there's a couple of other questions before you start worrying about the 500 rand or the type of investment. But there is a number of those. Now I've named the basics for you now. There are any number of other investments that you can also use. And Witbits, I don't know if I've answered you, but I've tried to not give you just a simple take your money and put it in the bank kind of answer and move on. Charlene says, is your tax-free lump sum forfeited if you don't take it and just invest in a living annuity? Yes, Charlene, it is indeed. So the tax-free lump sum you're talking about is the 550,000 rand on your pension fund, provident fund, or retirement annuity at retirement. So 550. So if you had a pension fund which is worth 1.65 million, then 1/3 of that is exactly 550,000 rand, and that's the tax-free portion. Anything more than that, you've got 3 million rand, 1 million rand is your 1/3 portion, 550,000 tax-free, the rest taxable in the sliding scale. So you're saying that 1/3, irrespective of how much it is, you specifically referring to the 550,000, but basically anything, any amount of money that 1/3 is, irrespective of how much it is it forfeited if you do not take it? And it is indeed. So when you get to the point where you have to exercise your option in terms of any of those pension products as to how you're going to take it, how you're going to take your income from that pension product, at that point you have to exercise that option and say, I'm taking 1/3 in cash, or I'm taking a portion of it and the rest is going into my living annuity or my guaranteed life annuity. If you do not exercise that option to draw a certain portion of it as cash, it's over and done. Once the living annuity or the life annuity is in effect, It's over and done with. You can't go back and say, listen, I'm changing my mind. I want to now draw that 550,000 or 1/3 of it. So very, very important. Make sure that you understand this and that you do the planning accordingly. And that is honestly why when I have this discussion with people, very often people tell me they don't want to take the tax-free portion because they want a bigger income. And I, in most cases, try and convince people to take a portion of it, maybe not everything, but a portion of it, to have some liquidity, number one, to make use of that tax-free portion, number two, and number three, to maybe change the way that they structure their income so that they have a lower taxable income. Very interesting when we get into the figures on how it could actually help you to take a portion in cash. Jen, is it better to pay off property faster or invest? Bond is 8%. So Jen, this is an interesting question that I get on a regular basis, and the reason why it's interesting is because there is no straightforward answer with regards to is this better or is that better. And why do I say there is no straightforward answer? So the very simple calculation is the following. If you have a bond and you've got an 8% bond rate such as yours, and you've got an investment which will give you 8% return on investment, so 8% growth, then basically it doesn't matter which one you follow, you're going to have the same net result. So whether you put extra money into your bond and you save 8% in interest that you now don't have to pay because you're paying it off faster, or whether you're putting that 8% into an investment and you get 8% growth, the net effect at the end of the day is exactly the same. You will either pay off the bond quicker by a few years, or you will get to an amount of money at a point in the future where you've got the same growth as the interest that you would have saved. Net effect the same. If, however, your bond rate is 8% and you can invest into something that's going to give you a 12% return on investment, so 12% growth rate, well, then the investment would logically make more sense because you know that you're going to get 4% more growth. So where you would have saved yourself 8% interest, you're actually getting 4% higher growth. So now you would have actually been better off, 4% better off by investing the money than paying off your bond. That's actually as simple and straightforward as the calculation is. Where the difficulty comes in is we do not know if the growth rate that we are going to get is going to be 10 or 12%. Yes, we can work on estimations, we can work on historical figures, but there is no guarantee. With a bond, if you pay it off quicker, you are guaranteed 8% saving on your interest. With an investment, you're not guaranteed. So you have to take a little bit of risk, you have to take a little bit of an educated gamble if you choose to put the money into an investment rather than into the bond. So that's the first thing. Obviously, other way around, if your bond rate is 8%, you're only going to get 6% return on your investment, the bond would just normally, obviously make the better answer. So the investment could be better because you could potentially get substantially higher growth than the interest that you're paying. But here's the one thing that people, I think, very often forget about. And it's something that cannot be measured as a percentage, and that's peace of mind. The peace of mind factor that I talk about. So, what will give you more peace of mind? Will it give you more peace of mind to have your bond paid off and to sit with that title deed in your hands and know my property belongs to me, nobody can touch it, it's over and done with? It would have taken you 20 years to pay off your bond, you put in extra money, you paid your bond off in 5 years, you're sitting with a title deed and nobody can touch that thing. Do you want to have that peace of mind? Or would you rather say, I will keep on paying this thing for the next 20 years and I will invest my money on the sideline, and I know that I'm running this risk for the next 20 years, of if I go insolvent or if I can't afford or whatever, the bank can come and take my house. And then on the sideline, I've got an investment running that could maybe be enough to pay the bond if I run into trouble, or could not. that peace of mind factor. What gives you more peace of mind? Knowing that you're paying off your house quicker, or knowing that you're investing money and you're potentially getting 4% or 5% higher growth. That, I think, to me is one of the most important things. Peace of mind is something you cannot measure in percentages, and you cannot measure it in terms of that feeling of, okay, I'm sorted out. So I honestly feel, and I've seen it and I experience it all the time, is that people that feel that they want to have a safety, more of a safety thing, will normally pay off their bond quicker. People that are more of a, I want to chase a bit of growth, I want to take a few chances, will normally go the investment route. So it really, that is to me one of the most important aspects of deciding. And the one thing about paying off your bond quicker that I think people also take or lose out of sight is, if you want that peace of mind factor and say, I'm going to put more in, I'm going to pay my bond off quicker. If you then pay off a 20-year bond in 5 years, what happens now? Now, after you've paid off your bond, you have your bond repayment plus the extra money that you put into the bond that can all now go into an investment for the next 15 years, because you would have paid a bond for 20 years in any case, which can now become a very good investment. So to me, I have always believed that cash is important. Cash is one of the strongest negotiating tools that you have. And I hate debt. I don't like debt. So personally, I would do whatever I can to get rid of my debt and then start the investment thing. It's not for everybody. And one has to take a lot of other factors into consideration, because in this whole scenario that I'm explaining now, we're looking absolutely at only one question: is it better to pay off the bond? We haven't touched on anything with regards to tax, tax benefits, family, financial security, anything like that. So even though I'm trying to illustrate this for you with regards to property, there might be, in your specific case, a case to be made to rather invest and not pay off the bond. Yeah. I think some people will always say, oh, that's a bit of a double-edged sword. All the answers is like a double-edged sword. I try not to do it, but it literally is. There is never a straightforward, one-size-fits-all answer. Witblitz says, which bank would you recommend for that savings account? Witblitz, I honestly don't know, because I don't know what banks offer as interest rates. To be very honest with you, I don't know what they offer as interest rates. I think you can't go wrong if you go with one of the big banks, the Absa, FNB, Standard Banks, Nedbanks. I don't think you can go wrong with that. Capitec is doing brilliantly. So I think what I would do is, if I had to do a bank savings account, I would most probably go and check with the banks what type of savings accounts they have, because their rules changed on different savings accounts as well, and see which savings accounts works best for me, and then which bank gives the best interest rate. So normally when we talk about emergency funds, we say we need the money immediately, which means if I have an emergency this morning, I need the money this afternoon. So you most probably want a savings account like that. But then there are banks that say, okay, we will give you, 2% interest. But then you must have, then you don't have to have a minimum amount. And bank number 2 might say, okay, we'll give you 3%, but then you must have at least 500 Rand in your account. So then you have to ask yourself, okay, 2% or 3%, 2%, I don't have to have a balance, 3%, I have to have 500 Rand, which is going to work best for me. So for that, you're literally going to have to do a bit of self-investigation. There we go. Tulare, hi, I'm 41 years old and saving 1,400 Rand in retirement. Is it enough according to you? Tulare, no, it's not enough. And why am I saying it's not enough? For me, it's not enough. My income, based on my income, if I only save 1,400 Rand a month, when I get to retirement, I'm only going to have enough money to last me for a year based on my income. But for you, it might be enough. I don't know. Think of it this way. We normally say that if you start saving for retirement at the age of 25, okay, and you save for 40 years, and you save 15% of your income, okay, then you should be able to retire then at the age of 65 with 80% of your income. So if we take a straight line calculation, we say I start working at 25 for 10,000 Rand a month, I work until the age of 65 for 10,000 Rand, so for 40 years, no inflation, no interest rates, nothing like that. If for 40 years I save 1,500 Rand per month of that 10,000 Rand, then when I get to 65, I will have enough capital so that I can now retire with 8,000 Rand a month. That is the straightforward calculation with regards to this. Now the thing is, you earn 10,000 Rand for argument's sake, so you need to save 1,500 Rand to reach that goal. I earn 100,000 Rand a month, so I need to save 15,000 Rand. So my situation, your situation is not the same. And therefore I can't tell you if 1,400 Rand is enough, because it won't be enough for me. The other thing is, you're 41 years old. Maybe you were supposed to start saving 1,400 Rand when you were 25, but you never started and you only started now. Now you're 16 years behind. So now to make up for those 16 years, you actually need to save 4,400 Rand a month because you have to catch up. So do you understand? Oh, I hope you understand that it's impossible for somebody to say, based on a question like that, if the amount of savings that you're doing is enough for you. 98% of the time, I can tell you basically, no, it's not going to be enough. Because experience has shown that the majority of people do invest, but they started too late or they're doing too little, and therefore it's not going to be enough. So I don't think it's enough, but once again, unless I have the facts, I can't tell you. But I hope the little explanation gave you a bit of an idea, a guideline of how much you are supposed to save. And let's move on. Thank you very much. I take it when I see all these hearts popping up, it means that I've said something that has been of value. Charlene says, once you buy an annuity, can you change the investment company if you are not happy? Yes, indeed, Charlene, you can do that. So you bought yourself a living annuity. Let's say you bought it with Old Mutual. But now, a year or 5 later, you're not happy with Old Mutual, you're not happy with the funds, you're not happy with the advisor, whatever the case might be, and the new person you're dealing with, or the company that you like now is not Old Mutual anymore, you now like Liberty, and you want to move it to Liberty, you can indeed do so. It's called a Section 50 transfer, and you can transfer it from that living annuity to the living annuity with Liberty. It's on living annuities. On guaranteed annuities, you can't do it. Okay? So if you buy a guaranteed income plan with your 2/3 pension fund money, you cannot go and do a Section 50 transfer. You can only do it with a living annuity. Because on a guaranteed annuity, you have bought a specific guarantee from the company that says this amount of money is going to give me this amount of income for the rest of my life. And that's the guarantee. You can't come 5 years down the line and say, now I want to move my money. They're going to say, sorry, it doesn't work like this. You have to stay with that company. So living annuity, yes. Guaranteed annuity, no. PG says, if I have 1.35 million, okay. If I have 1.35 million, how much is my 1/3 and how much will I earn per month? Oh my goodness. Hang on a second, folks. I left my calculator on that side. On my way, like Doris Day. Okay, so let's get back to PG's question here. So PG, 1.35 million, eh? How much is my 1/3? So on 1/3, 1,350, 1, 2, 3, divided by 3, it's 450,000, which leaves you with 900,000. So 900,000, 1, 2, 3, times 2.5% equals 22,500 divided by 12, 1,875. Remember that number, PG, 1,875. That is the minimum. 1,875 is the minimum. The maximum is 13,125. So those are the two extremes. You can get 1,000, whatever I said now, or you can get as much as 13,125 because you can draw an income of between 2.5 and 17.5%. Now, if you draw the small income of 2.5, your capital will keep on growing. If you draw the big income of 17.5, your capital will most probably take a nosedive. So, from an income perspective, it will be best to draw an income of around 5%, maybe a bit more, but let's work on 5 to be safe. So, an income of 3,750 Rand per month. That is the income that will be safe. So, how much will you earn? That depends on you. Because, like you said, there's a substantial difference between the lowest income and the highest income. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you do not make use of a living annuity for your income and you are going to buy a guaranteed annuity, that guaranteed annuity and the income that you will be generating, that will be determined by the annuity rates of the company that you buy the income from in that specific week. So PG, as you can see, once again, there's a number of different options. As a matter of fact, there is hundreds of different variations of how you can take the income, and therefore hundreds of different potential income options. Okay. Once again, a few words, so I suppose that means that the answer was understood or made sense. Kevin Ontali. I love this. Kevin says, what's the first thing you should do once coming across a large sum of money like the lottery? Okay, so Kevin, my opinion. First thing, don't tell anybody. Do not tell anybody. Second thing, take a holiday. Take a break. If it's like a really big amount of money, 20 million, 30 million, like just unheard of money that you've never seen or heard of in your life, take a holiday. Take 2 weeks, take a month, take 2 months. I don't care. Go and lie on the beach, go and drink pina coladas until you want to fall over, whatever the case might be, but go and chill. That's it. And the reason why I say just go and take that holiday is you want this euphoria that you have, this sensation of I'm rich. You want that to just like dissipate a bit. You want it to go away a bit. Because when people come into big money, they normally start dreaming. They're dreaming about, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to get this, I'm going to do that. It's houses, it's cars, it's businesses, it's investments, it's donations, it's I'm going to help this. People get into this crazy state of mind that I've got this lot of money and suddenly I can do everything I want in the world. And then they start wasting it. And 2-3 years later, they've got nothing less and they don't know why. And the reason is that the majority of people that come into these large amount of money is people that are not used to those types of money. And therefore, they do not know how to financially manage the funds. But because they've got this big amount of money, they think it's never going to run out. And then suddenly they think they are the best possible financial manager in the world. So go and take that holiday for a couple of weeks. Just go and chill. Go and build the sandcastles or go and build the castles in the air in your head and so on. Because eventually you will come down to, okay, you know what? It's now nice. I know I've got this money. It's lucky to know that I've got this money. I know that I can do things, but now I can think about it clearly on what I'm going to do. So that's the first thing. Don't tell anybody. Take a break. And then do planning. I don't care whether you go and speak to a financial planner and do it. I don't care if you go and speak to the bank manager. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you ask ChatGPT. All I say is go and do planning, whether it is yourself doing planning by yourself, whether you go to other people and get different opinions. So even if you do your own planning and you sit at a table and you write it down, great. Go and get a second opinion from the bank manager. Go and get a third opinion from your lawyer. Go and get a fourth opinion from a financial advisor. Go and see 3 different financial advisors. Go and get a couple of opinions. Just so that you get other people's insights. Because once we get into this amount of money, we normally look at it like this. I want to go and do this. I'm going to go and I'm going to buy myself the big house. I'm going to buy myself the big car. And I'm going to go on a holiday every year. And I'm going to go this and I'm going to do this. And you don't think about other things. And normally when you speak to other people, they start pointing out things that you haven't thought about. Yes, it's wonderful to buy this big house that you are dreaming about. But suddenly your rates and taxes have gone through the roof. Something that you did not bargain on. Suddenly you need 6 domestic workers because the place is so big you can't handle it with one person. So somebody else will just give you input that will help you to make proper decisions. There we go. Do those 3 things. If you come into big money, you'll be sorted. I'm getting interesting questions tonight. I'm spending, I think, too much time answering them, but it's fun questions. It's not the same as always, that's why. But Blitz, 100%. Glad to hear that you're going to follow the advice or the recommendation. Sorry, folks, just scrolling until I get to the next person. Conrad van die Kerk and Joy and Mushroom 37. Interesting names again. Johan Wasserman, Othe, Cody, Uncle Donnie. And then I see a couple of names here that I've seen from before. Uncle Donnie, for example. TG Worldwide. Corneille, you give great advice. Oh, thanks, TG Worldwide. I'm very happy. If you feel that I'm giving good advice, I'm very, very pleased to see that. Stonga says, lump sum or take-home retirement is 1,200,000. My debts, Aidan, please advise. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Oh my goodness, Tonga, that's very difficult to advise because I don't know if you're saying your total pension fund, retirement fund is 1.2 million rand, or if you're saying your 1/3 is 1.2 million rand. Okay, so let's assume that you say your 1.2 million rand is your lump sum. Then obviously there's a portion of it that has to come off for taxes, and you will be left with money that should be more than sufficient to pay off the 800,000 rand in debt. So it sounds like a straightforward answer. Yes, take the money and go and pay off the debt and live off the 2/3. So it sounds like a straightforward answer. But it's not. And the reason why I'm saying it's not is if I don't understand what this debt is for, and I don't understand what your need is in terms of an income out of the rest of the pension fund money, I can't really tell you if it's going to be a good idea to take this 1.2 million rand. It might be better, depending on the type of debt that you have, to say to you, well, the thing is, if you take this money, you pay off your debt and you live off the 2/3, you're not going to survive because we can see it in the numbers. So you know what, 800,000 rand, the debt that you have, 800,000 rand, let's say it's 3 cars and a house. Then it might be better to say, well, before we decide on that, let's decide on this car situation. Maybe it's time for you to sell 2 of those cars and get rid of that debt. Maybe it's time for you to sell the house and to buy something smaller, or sell the house and rent in retirement, and in that way get rid of your debt. So it's not, unfortunately, as straightforward as just saying, yeah, take the cash, pay the debts and go on. If I do not know and understand what your need is going to be with regards to income into the future, financial dependence, what type of debt it is that you have to pay off, if I don't understand those things, I really can't give you a straightforward answer. But in your case, sir, I'm going to be very, very honest with you. I think you must seriously speak to a financial advisor that understands retirement before you make any decisions. And you must leave yourself open to recommendations, to ideas. Because I also know that when we get to retirement and when we, like the previous person said, you come into a lot of money, I know that we normally have our own ideas of what we want to do with it. And we do not like other people making recommendations. We don't like people telling us do X, Y, and Z. Because I've decided I want to do this and this and this, and I'm going to go for financial advice, but actually I'm not going for financial advice. I just want to go and see somebody that's going to tell me that the decision that I've made is good. I must go with it. And then when you get to a financial advisor that really cares about giving good advice, and you say to them, well, I want to do A, B, and C, and the financial advisor says, no, but you must do X, Y, and Z, then we don't really want to listen to that person, because you're not telling me what I want to hear. So leave yourself open for recommendations. Leave yourself open to listen to alternatives than what you think is going to be the best for you. Okay, Stonga, but find somebody that can plan, okay? Find somebody that understands this. Don't go and speak to a financial advisor that can't even explain to you how retirement annuity works. Being nasty if I say that, I suppose, but I've seen it. Lana and Cash and Jock and Kiki, and let's see who's next here. Charlene. Which is better, a money market ETF or a saving in the bank? Charlene, we've spoken from before. You know I don't like either of those. I'm going to be very honest with you. I am not a big fan favorite of anything that has to do with cash. What the heck? Oh, here it is. Oh, it's my cat. Cat is going nuts here. Thinks she wants attention. I'm not a big fan of savings in the bank or in the money market, okay? So the fact of the matter is that whether you are making use of savings in the bank or you put money into an ETF money market, you can only expect so much as interest. To me, that decision about money market or money market ETF or saving in a bank, that decision should not have anything to do with regards to interest. It should have to do with liquidity. How available is that money? And according to me, the savings in the bank is more liquid. The ETF might be valuable in an investment, especially if you want to draw an income from the investment and you want to ensure that the portion of the investment you're drawing the income from is pretty safe and pretty secure. Then that would be good. But I honestly do not think either of them is very good, Charlene. Be honest with you, I can't remember when was the last time that I actually had a look at the performances of money market ETFs. I really don't know, I can't tell you. What I do know is that money market funds are basically giving that 7.2, 7.5% return on investment. So when you make use of it, it is not for the return that you invest in. It is for the liquidity, or it should be for the liquidity. It is to have the money available for those emergencies. If you want to invest in something like this for investment's sake and to grow your money, sorry to say, you are not doing yourself any favors, because you are most probably not going to beat inflation after the tax has been taken into consideration. Okay, let's see where we next. Logs, Morley's, Wimpy Leroux, good evening. Jen says, 100k salary, single person, no children. Woo! 100k salary, single person, no children, age 40, expenses 58. How or what would you invest the rest? Jen, it seems like you're in a good situation. So I think when I start talking to somebody like you, the first thing I would ask is this 100k that you're investing, is it gross or net? Is it before tax or after tax? Because after tax, you're going to have a bit less. Let's assume that it's net. Let's assume that you take home 100k, you've got 58 spare. You've got 58 expenses, you've got 42 spare. Okay, so now we know that there's 42,000 rand to be invested. What we don't know is how much are you already investing in terms of pension funds or retirement annuities, because there would be a very good possibility of investing some of the money in order to get further tax rebates. The second thing is you are 40 years old, so how long do you want to invest for? I would assume, being 40 years old, at least to the age of 55. So you've got a long investment horizon in front of you, which means that you can be very aggressive with your investment. So if I were to invest my money, like I say, I will look at the contributions that you're currently doing in terms of pension funds to see if there's some additional retirement annuity you can do for extra tax rebates. And I will be looking at an endowment, because my tax rate, earning 100,000 Rand per month, is going to be 45% tax rate. I would rather be invested in an investment where my capital gains tax is only 30%, which is the endowment. So those are the two things I will look at. Now, I think it goes a little bit further. If I have a pension fund, my pension fund should be pretty strong by now. So I would most probably then lean towards the endowment, so that when I get to retirement, I will have pension fund money on the one side where I will get a taxable income from, and I will have an endowment on the other side where I will get an after tax or tax-free income. And together I get a bigger income with a lower tax rate. If I do not have a pension fund or a provident fund or retirement annuity, then I would most probably lean more towards the retirement annuity, because there is a substantial tax saving that I could get being on a tax rate of 45%. Having said all of this, a combination of the two might then also be a very good idea. And then we get to the last part. It's very easy to tell you this is the two products that I will look at and that I will consider in moving forward. But which I will do, how much I will put where, that I can't tell you, because, once again, I don't know your personal circumstances in terms of you've got the expenses you say, but I don't know if that expenses is debt. I do not know when you intend on retiring. Do you want to go at the age of 55, 60 or 65? I don't know what you want in terms of the future, in terms of this investment. Whether you wanted to go and do international trips or whether you want income from it. So only once I have a bit of a better knowledge of your personal circumstances, only once I've got that, can I give you a more realistic answer about what I think you should be doing. Okay, Jen, I hope it answers it. Well, I hope it gives guidelines. Not answers it, give guidelines. Rishi and Tom and Oliver. Malu, Anthony, Jameson, Henk, Cully. What have I done now? Oh, I just got stuck. Nats, good evening, Nats. What is the standard cost a financial advisor can charge? Oh, yeah, baby. How much can I make? Come pay me. Nats, this is most probably one of the most difficult things to answer to clients. And the reason why I'm saying it's one of the most difficult questions to answer is because there is no two financial products, okay? There is no two financial products that pays a financial advisor the same. We are in an industry where literally every investment that we do has a different fee structure. And every policy or retirement annuity that we do has a different fee structure. So I'll run you quickly through one or two. So unit trust and endowments, okay? Unit trust and endowments, an advisor can choose an upfront commission, of between 0% and 3.5%, okay? Then the advisor can choose an ongoing fee, because they have to keep on managing your funds, between 0% and 1%. So that's on endowments and unit trust, okay? Now when we go to living annuities and life annuities, advisor can charge anything between 0% and 1.7%. If it's a life annuity, that's the only fee he gets. If it's a living annuity, he can once again choose an ongoing fee of between 0 and 1%. If we look at retirement annuities, it becomes more complicated, because now you work on the premium that's being paid. So the premium that's being paid is worked out on a formula, and the easy formula is premium times 12 times 80%. That gives you the commission approximately. So 1,000 Rand times 12,000 Rand times 80%, so you look at 9,600 Rand. But then legislation says out of this 9,600 Rand, you can only get 50% upfront, other 50% is as and when. Then legislation goes further and says, okay, but it must be a full-term investment, as we call it, 27 years. If it's not, then we take that commission that you can earn, that 9,600 that's now being divided and given 50%, so 5,800 if I'm not mistaken, divided by 27 years to count what it is per year. And now how long is this retirement annuity going to run? It's going to run for 10 years. So suddenly you end up with 2,200 Rand. Works the same on endowments, similar type of thing, except with endowments, you don't have the full-term exercise, you have a maximum of 15 years. And then if you do recurring investments where you literally put in money on a month-to-month basis, and there is no term attached to it, then there is no commission calculated over a long period of time. And now you can take, I think it's 0.35 or 3.5% per premium from the client or less. So as you can see, there is a whole lot of different calculations. And it really depends from client and advisor and the negotiations what they have, what the client can earn and cannot earn. So Nats, I don't know if I've answered you, because like I say, I've now given you a quick calculation on unit trust, endowments, retirement annuities, living annuities, life annuities, risk policies we haven't touched on, tax-free we haven't touched on. At the end of the day, what I can tell you is I think that people very often think us as financial advisors earn a hell of a lot of money, and if we earned less, then the client would be better off. And I have done these calculations with clients on numerous occasions when clients want to negotiate commission, especially on income plans. That's the one that works the best, where I show a client, okay, if I do R1 million investment for you and I get 1.7%, your income is going to be X. And then let's go and do the same calculation. Now I don't get a commission, I get 0%. Let's look at your income. And the difference between what the income is going to be when I earn something and what the income is going to be when I earn nothing is so small and insignificant. Clients normally go, oh, shame. Okay, now don't worry about it. Life policies, we do commissions there, and then the client has to pay 1,000 Rand a month, and then they say, well, if you don't earn commission, let's look at it then, and then we redo the calculation, and then they save 80 Rand a month or 70 Rand a month of premiums. So yes, I laugh about this because people are always concerned about not paying costs, not paying fees, getting the cheapest possible advice. And then when we actually sit, or when I sit and I show clients on paper, then they're like, okay, you know what? You deserve what you earn, and it's really not such a big problem. Anyway, guys, I hope I've answered it, but I love answering that question. I have a lot of fun when it comes to that question, and I'm talking to clients. Because normally I make them an offer. Okay, you tell me how much you want to pay me, and normally they're willing to pay me more than what I take in any case. Mr. J says, I believe the more financial advice you get when you get a large sum of money, the better. Absolutely, Mr. J. Cannot agree with you more. And get that advice before you do anything. I have heard of and I have read articles on people that has won lottos. I mean millions, literally millions. And 5 years after they've won it, they're still doing the same job. They haven't touched the money. Their family still don't even know that they've won the money. And I think that is the way that you want to deal with big amounts of money. Charlene says, how would you balance a portfolio then if no cash or bonds? Well, Charlene, you don't have to have cash or bonds in a portfolio, or you don't have to buy the cash or bonds yourself. So what I like to do is, let me give away my trade secret here. What I like to do is, I like to be more aggressive with investments. So if somebody wants to have a more balanced investment, then I would give them an equity fund, because in the equity fund we try and get 100% shares, but sometimes the portfolio manager sells off shares, so that we go to 95 or 90% shares, and then that portfolio manager has with that 5 or 10% bought bonds and cash in the portfolio. So he's balancing the portfolio for me in any case. So I would combine an equity share with something like a balanced fund. And in a balanced fund, it's already a spread of about 60 to 7% shares and the rest cash, bonds, and properties. So that's how I balance it. I either choose a fund that is specifically aimed at having a medium balance, or I go and choose funds that I like and combine them. And in income funds, for example, I love taking the money and take a portion of it and put it into an income fund, and I buy from that income fund for the client an income for 2 or 3 years until the income fund runs out. Then a portion goes into a balance fund where the risk is not too high, and after 3 years we start using the balance fund to start buying the client income for another 2 or 3 years. And then when that runs out, then we're left with the equity portfolio, which has 5 or 6 years now to grow. And if it's grown the way that we've expected it, that client has substantially more than what they had in the past. And now we can go back and say, okay, let's go and do a split again. Let's go and move some money back into that balance fund and that income fund, and we create the same scenario going forward. And that's what I do. I must say, some very interesting questions tonight. Thank you very much, folks. So nice not to have the same old, same old. Tian says, do you guys have any graduate programs at the firm? Tian, we don't have a graduate program, but I'm always looking at getting new advisors into the industry, whether they come and join us or whether they go and join other firms that we can introduce them to. So yes, you're welcome to contact me on WhatsApp. We can have a chat and I can tell you basically my opinions about where to go, how to go about it, etc. Mr. J says, RA, high risk shares, good idea to move to a lower share before 55? Not necessarily, Mr. J. On a retirement annuity, for example, if you move from high risk to low risk during COVID, you would have lost a lot of money because market was here, market took a dive to here. If you were in high risk, you went from 100 to 60. If you then moved there at that point into low risk and the market recovered and the high risk share that was 60 goes back up to 100, because you're in a low risk share now, 60, it doesn't go back to 100, it just goes to 70. Okay, so that's the first thing. So we don't just want to move between the different risk profiles because we reach a specific age. You want to move when it's the right time to move, when you've made what you wanted to make and you want to lock in your profits. That's the one thing. Second thing is, I won't move it before the age of 55 because maybe I want to retire at the age of 65. So then I've got another 10 years left, and 10 years is a long time in investing. So then I'll leave it until I'm 63, and then I'll start looking, is it necessary, is it not necessary? And very often, people leave it there and they get to retirement age or that year before retirement, and the markets are having a run like it's been doing for the last year or two, and they're just like, well, it's having a run, let's leave it in there. I'm happy to give it a further go. So once again, I do not move portfolios just based on a client's age. I move portfolios based on the need and when we want to lock in certain profits. Okay, there we go. Folks, I see I'm running out of time here, and it's because I'm having so much fun tonight, so I'll try and answer a couple more questions. Flygoal says, how can one find out how much you have contributed to your tax-free savings so far in total? Lifetime limit. So the lifetime limit is being monitored by our wonderful friends at SARS, and you can actually inquire from SARS as to what you have contributed on lifetime limit. Must be very honest with you, I've never had to do that inquiry, so I don't know who you ask at SARS. What I can tell you is if your lifetime investment has been done by a specific insurer from day one all the way, they are also keeping track of it, and they can tell you from their side once you get to your 500,000 limit. But if you were with Absa and then move to this company, Stanlip, and then they might have a problem because they're not going to be, most probably not going to know from one to the other. Okay, but SARS, they should know. Manana says, where can I invest 100,000 Rand? Manana, you can invest it literally anywhere you want. It's not where can you, it's where should you. And where you should be investing the money is where you will get the best possible benefits and growth based on your possible needs. So you need to go and talk to somebody about your 100,000 Rand, a financial advisor, let them recommend a place to go. That's what you need to do. Okay, then the following one is, let me just move that there. Until September, hold on a second, I've missed out 1 year, folks, sorry, a second. There we go. Yeah, tips. Is it wise to invest into something like a balanced or high risk fund right now during the war? Tips, absolutely. Absolutely. I cannot tell you how much investments we've done in the last 4 or 5 months. It's kind of difficult to explain, okay? So it's not to time the market. It's not to try and buy into an investment when the market is low. The idea is to buy an investment that is going to give you the strategy that you want. High risk, medium risk, whatever. And to leave it there for a long time. That's the idea. If you want to time the market and try and say, listen, I have to wait until the market is just right for me to buy into. You can sit with money. If you look at what's happened since COVID time, you can sit with money in the bank 4 or 5 years waiting for the market to make a downturn. So invest at any time. Find the right portfolio. That's the important thing. If you find the right portfolio for you and you stick it out for a long period of time, that's what you want to do. Don't worry about it. The war, the crisis we had with the war came in March. We're already out of it. It's over and done with. All the markets are back up. Everybody is making money and smiling big time. I think RA is useless for minors without tax rebate, but tax-free savings could be better, don't you think? T-Man, you can think that, my man. I really don't mind. Remember, any retirement annuity contributions not being deducted as a rebate, because you can't deduct it as a rebate, rolls over until retirement. So your 550,000 Rand tax-free portion becomes more. So your minor that can't get the tax rebate will get it at retirement. Always going to get the benefit. And the thing is, with the retirement annuity, the minor cannot touch that money. So if you want to make provision for that minor's pension now already, that is better than a tax-free savings account. Tax-free savings account is great. Gives you tax-free growth. It's very liquid. Where is it not great when you give it to a minor? If the minor cashes it in at the age of 18. You've saved 11 years to get that minor the full 500,000 in there. 8 years later, they withdraw the money. They've made some money on the tax-free investment, more than what they would have done on endowment, for example, but they lose out on the great benefit, which is the growth they would have gotten for the next 30 years. So, T-Man, we all have different opinions, and I'm not saying mine is right, and I'm not saying I'm the be-all and end-all when it comes to that. What I am saying is, depends from person to person and from need to need. What is your need? That determines it. Pamela says, sir, how do you escape the 9 to 5 rat race, or there is no way out of all? Give your... Pamela, I don't know how you escape the 9 to 5 rat race, because I haven't escaped it. I mean, it's 7 o'clock in the evening. I'm still sitting here. I mean, it's fun what I'm doing, but it is effectively work. I think, Pamela, the only people that want to escape the 9 to 5 rat race is people that work for somebody, that works for a company. If you are a business owner and you work for yourself, you don't have work hours. You don't have work time. If you are a serious businessman and you want your business to be successful, there is no 9 to 5. Businessmen all over the place, I know, work 16-hour days, no problem. Very seldom that you hear a businessman doing 9 to 5. So if you want to escape it, go into business. Don't go nuts and take all your pension fund money and go and buy a business. First go and learn about business, educate yourself, start something small that's not going to cost any money, start building it up and grow yourself into your own business. I'm going to tell you one thing, you might get out of the 9-to-5 rat race, but you are going to be working your backside off for many, many years, much longer hours than the person that works for a boss 9-to-5. Trust fund, can one use it as a starter round? How much is a setup? No, I don't think people understand what a trust fund is. A trust fund is when you create a trust and you do an investment in the trust. Trusts and the trust funds that people do is not really for investment, it's for protection, it's for longevity, it's to leave something behind for the generations that comes after us. Unless, Mr. or Mrs. Mdungu, I misunderstand what you mean by a trust fund, but no, I don't think trust funds is a good starter. Okay, folks, we are past 7 o'clock. I need to go and grab something to eat. Let me see if there's one or two more. I'll answer them quickly and then I'm going to say goodbye. Casey says, please advise with regards to choosing the portfolio for wealth creation, wealth preservation. Casey, I've said this hundreds of times. No two people are going to choose the same portfolio, be that for wealth creation or for wealth preservation. Every person have different needs. Every person have different risks that they're willing to take. I'm willing to go all out and put everything I have into equity funds, offshore. That's where I'll put my money. You might not feel like it because you say, listen, I can't handle a fund that goes like this. I want a fund that does a slow, steady upkeep like this. So me, I like a fund that goes like this because at the end of the day, it's going to end up there. You want a fund that goes like this because it's going to end up there, but you know you've got that safety. So there's no ways to give you a portfolio, like you say, for wealth creation, wealth preservation, unless we understand what Casey wants. And there's hundreds, thousands of different funds. So can't give you a straightforward answer. I can give you a number of funds, names, explain what their risk profiles are, etc. But if you do not know what you want and where you fit in, you won't be able to choose one. Doe says, I'm a financial advisor. I think the most difficult for me is to pursue. Doe, to pursue what, my good man? Talk to me about what you're pursuing. And pursue clients to invest. Clients to invest. Clients don't see the importance of investing. Though, my good man, I am going to disagree with you, okay? And though I invite you to send me a WhatsApp and to have a coffee with me, whether it's in person or whether it is virtually. And I will tell you why I don't agree with you. Because I have seen, since I started my videos and making my videos, I've seen the amount of people that has asked me about investments, who wants to understand more about investments, and the amount of people who's reaching out to me to help them to implement investments. So trust me, yes, there are a number of people out there that don't want to do investments, but it's not because they don't want to invest though. It's because their discipline lacks, because they do not have the patience to wait for the end result. So they find excuses to not invest. It's the same as somebody that can't afford to buy a BMW. And then they'll give you every excuse in the book why they're going to buy themselves a Cherry and drive a Cherry and why a BMW is rubbish. It's not that they think BMW is rubbish, they just can't afford it, so they will find a reason to make it out to be a bad vehicle. Not that I'm saying Cherry is bad, okay? I'm trying to just illustrate something. But no, speak to me, trust me. With regards to investments, my mate, there are so many people that's reaching out to me and to our company to help them with investments. You will be blown away if I tell you. And though we need people to help us do all those investments, just by the way. OMJ, if investment is maturing next year, is it wise to take it or extend it as a result of war? Forget about the war, OMJ. Forget about the war. People forget about the war, please. The war, the impact the war had is gone. The impact the war had investments was 2 months and it's gone. It's over. It's nada. What you need to decide with your investment is, do I want to take that money and use it? If not, then leave it. And you don't have to extend a maturing investment. You can just leave it and it will keep on growing. And if you can, leave it. Leave it for as long as possible so that you can use it somewhere in the future when you really, really need it, like in retirement or something like that. Okay. But don't make decisions based on the war. The war, the teeth has been pulled from the war. Short-term, yes, correct. Okay. Ladies and gents, thank you very much. Thank you very much, folks. It's been fun. I see there was a lot of people on here. We're about 10 minutes over already. Thank you very much for tonight. I really enjoyed it. Next week, Thursday, do the same thing, same place, same time. Contact us if you have any questions. And though, let's have that coffee. All the best. Bye-bye.